Let's make it clear once for all. No, it's not true that we Italians every morning we sing opera under the shower like in a Woody Allen movies. It's not like that. I can guarantee you. And this is the problem also. That's actually a problem. We don't love opera in Italy. The majority of us don't love opera. The new generation don't care at all about opera. But we have many major opera houses in Italy. La Scala, and Milan is one of them, for instance. And of course, we have a huge responsibility to deal with this great cultural heritage and tradition and venues and conservatoires, etc., etc. Well, I've been lucky enough to bring my small contribution to one of the largest opera houses that we have in Italy, in Rome, the capital. Beautiful opera house. Very beautiful, very beautiful opera house. And inside, the outside is a little bit really not so beautiful. It was kind of changed during the fascist period in a very bad way, as it happened for many other situations during that time. But the inside is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. Well, this theater has been founded in 1880. There's around 2,000 seats, and as many of the Italian opera houses, the main funding partners, organizations are the institutions. So we have a strong connection with the state, meaning that we are one of the pillars of our society. Well, because, after the Second World War in 1946, Italy decided to become a republic, and one of the pillars of our republic is culture, education. And our state is taking care of this, should take care of this. So we have an engagement of institutions at every level. Local level, municipality of Rome; regional level, Lazio is the name of the region where Rome is; and of course, national level with the Ministry of Culture. All of these three institutions, they're giving quite a lot of money to our opera house in order to function. Well, over the years, and time to time, this is what happens. We have a crisis. Opera is not going to survive. It's too expensive. Nobody wants opera anymore. What were we going to do with so many opera houses all around the place? There is no audience. Why we have to force people to go to the opera if they don't like it, etc., etc., etc. And well, American journalists also sometimes they exaggerate a little bit, like it's over now. All the theaters of Italy are going to close, but this is the case. These articles are back to 2013-14. So imagine also now from an Italian point of view the disaster for the reputation. You open the most important newspaper in the world and say it's over. Italy is not finding the way to project into the future the opera culture. And they were right, because in time to time, also depending on the leadership, depending on the people that you're going to appoint to control these incredible, complex cultural organizations, well, depending on that, sometimes in 3-4 years you can destroy the system. It's very a long-term process to elevate a cultural organization. It's very easy to destroy it in a couple of years. And this is what was going to happen in Rome. So you were mentioning this during the introduction. I was appointed when I was 28, 29 as one of the youngest board member, trying to say, okay, we give space to the young people, and this is the demonstration. And I was, of course, extremely proud and grateful for that. And when I came in the board of directors, I say, okay, now let's really try to change. But it was just at the peak of one of the most terrible crises of the Rome Opera House. So after 2 weeks, I joined the board. We signed a paper firing the whole orchestra and the choir of the Rome Opera. It was the very first time in the history of Italy that something like that was happening, just because there was too many tensions with the unions, etc., etc. Well, Riccardo Muti, at the time, the famous iconic Italian conductor, is also in Chicago. It was the principal conductor there, and he said, okay, I'm going to leave. I understand this is going to be bad. There is a lot of fights here. You know what? Bye-bye. Which was, I believe, not the best choice from Maestro, but I understand. So we were really in a terrible situation. Again, very few few months from having Riccardo Muti, from being the Roma Praus, etc. Terrible situation. We were fighting with the orchestra, Muti left, terrible reputation all around the world. And here you go. This is big. For an Italian opera house, this was really something big. We are a state organization, as I mentioned before. We are not a private organization, say, I do whatever I want. So it was really a strong, strong action. And imagining also in the perception of the people in Rome, what's going on with this organization. We are giving a lot of money. They always say opera is so important, and then this crisis. So after months and months of, negotiation, basically, with the musicians, we managed to find a solution. This is a completely other story for the next case. But we managed to find a solution and finally to say, okay, we are not going to close the opera house, because this was the scenario. And we started then saying, okay, what's next? After all this disaster, after the fact that we had a lot of debts, how we are going to enter in a new phase of development for the opera. So this was the situation. As you can see, number of lay performance in 2013, basically we were going down, 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 down for many, many reasons, for this crisis, for all the fightings with the unions, etc., etc. But as you can see, after this crisis, we went up more than ever in the number of performances, meaning that we were actually going to offer much more opera to the city of Rome. And in fact, also the attendance were so high during the period of, let's say, the recovering, because we started implementing, quite, I will say, now we can say a solid and wise strategy of development. And I'll tell you what we did in a bit. Just numbers, but to show you that there was a real, concrete, tangible, if we talk about cases, tangible development in all the strategic areas, including, of course, especially ticket sales. Meaning that we were attracting more citizens of Rome to the opera, more Italians, of course, more tourists to go to our opera house. While we were also trying to make our organization become more efficient. We reduced so many, many costs. The opera house in Rome, we have 600 employees. We are a big company. We realized that we were not so efficient in many, many different areas. And so, as you can see, actually the relationship between the costs of the personnel and the number of performances went down while we were becoming more attractive for the audience. Well, let's go to our point. So it's interesting to see that, in front of this complicated, very complicated situation that we faced, we find the strength and the opportunity to change, to innovate. Because one of the most incredible thing from my perspective is the opera houses in Italy are extremely scared about changing, about innovation. Because of many reasons, mainly is a mentality thing, I will say. You're not allowed to change, because after that you will read on the newspaper the day after that some critic will say, what's that? You can't change so much opera, you are destroying our heritage, etc., etc. We can open a big discussion around that, but the point is innovating not just in artistic choices, but innovating in the overall strategy of the opera. I'll give you an example. In Rome, we did many new projects over the years, in that period, 1620, mostly related not just in innovating, in inviting big stars, big names, big conductors. Yes, we did, because we were Rome, so we had also the power to do that. But it was, for instance, doing something that we didn't imagine for decades. Where are the young artists? We don't have a young artist program. We are the Rome Opera House. We are in 2016. There are no young artists here. We started working seriously on social engagement. We are the capital of Rome. Our opera house, what is doing for the city, beside offering great opera performances? So we initiated these major projects, and the one that I'm going to tell you now is this one. So we were wondering with the superintendent at that time how we are going to activate a new connection with the citizens of Rome. Because, as usual, as everywhere in the world, especially I would say in Italy, especially the new generation, they think, okay, opera is too expensive, opera is for, not for young people, for senior people, opera is boring, opera. So there is this big stereotype, which is not true. The people who are working in the opera field, they know. All opera houses around the world sell tickets for very, very few euros or dollars. All opera houses offering a variety of programs for young people, families. But still we have a communication problem. The communities don't understand this, but it's not their fault, again. So we said, okay, let's do this. Let's bring opera outside the opera house. Let's go towards the citizens. Don't wait and don't push them to come to our venue. And so we created this project, opera truck, opera camion, we say in Italy. So we said, okay, let's drive around the city with our mission, with our culture, with our offering. And so the main idea is basically to create a mobile opera stage that goes where you don't have music, where you don't have culture sometimes, where you don't have education, very little, where you don't have opera for sure. And the idea was to bring this truck to major public squares in, of course, the most distant areas from the city center where the opera house is based. Nothing too sophisticated, as you can see. We are not talking about, no, it's actually relatively easy, if you want. What was the power of this project? Well, the fact that, of course, we were extremely dynamic and extremely quick in moving around the city. Protagonists of the project were young musicians, the youth orchestra of Rome Opera, a young cast of all young singers, a young director. Everything was in the hands of young artists. There was also use of technology, as we will see. So the actual stage was a screen. So we were also using technology in order to engage with the audience. If you want, it's even a little bit, not really the best, sophistication for sure, but that was not the meaning, the scope. The scope was opera is not, it doesn't have to be grandiose all the time, no? It's actually, let's go back to where we started. It's about singing, it's about, I have to tell you a story. We are going to, listen to a story. So through this project, we actually were becoming again protagonists of the cultural life of our city, which is, of course, a very wide and fragmented city. And what was the reaction of the citizens? First of all these performances were free for the citizens. So we were actually placing around 100 seats, and then we were saying, feel free to stand or to bring your own chair. And we were going in the most difficult areas of Rome, where you have, situations sometimes of poverty, especially over the last years. Also in a big city like Rome, there are very disadvantaged communities where there is a low level of education, criminality, etc., etc. So we were going really where you don't expect opera. And, it was really, really, interesting to see the participation. The numbers were quite big. Of course, we did this project during the summer, for sure, because it was outdoor. And we were offering, in summer 2016, when we started, performances for around 10,000 citizens, which is a big number for this kind of project in a city like Rome. And for sure, we were interacting much more with the locals instead of the tourists, because we were going in areas where you don't find tourists, maybe during the summer. So it was a pure, if you want, Roman audience. And it's interesting, and this is, the bad thing of all this is that we were not having the tools to register the impact. We were not thinking, okay, it's free of charge, so okay, maybe there are 300 people, maybe 400, wherever, no? So this is again about the mentality of don't having the tools and don't prepare the tools to say, we are doing something for our community, let's register, let's measure this, no? But of course, the operational model was quite clear. as I mentioned, young artists, free entrance, and a different experience. We wanted just to offer something different. Most of the time, Romans, young citizens from our city, when they enter in the opera house, they all say, wow, this is fantastic, but then they are a little bit uncomfortable, no? Can I talk? Should I wear? Maybe I'm not too casual. I see the old lady, super rich. I don't know. This is maybe I'm in the wrong place. So this is the why. Because also it's fantastic that we have this beauty in our opera houses. But of course, it's something that we are not used anymore. We are not used to stay in a place like that for 3 hours, for 4 hours. Actually, we are not used anymore to just sit for 3 hours. So this is another problem. So, of course, we were also offering a shortened version of the opera, not the full one. And we use, of course, we pick up the best, most popular titles. So this gave us an opportunity also to have the freedom to change. Something that in the theater, you're not allowed. I mean, we are allowed, but we are scared to maybe take some strong decisions like, reducing, for instance, the length of an opera. It will be something, especially for Italy, really unacceptable. Here, we were free to experiment and to offer a more authentic experience, something that the people say, okay, I don't know opera, but let me try. I understand that this is not too it's not going to stress me too much. I'm in my place. I feel comfortable here. I'm not spending any money. I see young artists. That's funny. I listen to nice music. Great. Maybe next time I go to the opera. So this is also what we were working on, to stimulate then this citizen to say, okay, now we came at your home. Now you come at our home. Let me show you very quickly a short video. Well, of course, this project started in 2016. Then we actually offered this for a different season up to the very last one before the pandemic. And also, it's interesting if we look at the costs for people that in the audience might know a little bit the opera world. We are talking about very little budget for a major production that gave the opportunity to thousands and thousands of people to experience the performance. We also try to bring this format in one of the indoor theater that we have, not the main one. This one is the smallest one, and we see that was working extremely well. Well, in 4 years, we reached more than 50,000 citizens, which is a good number. We changed the cultural perception in Rome? No, for sure. I'm not saying that this is a life-changing project for the city of Rome. This is just one of the actions that we can undertake, for sure. But of course, you see, it's great to see also this other side of opera, more, let me say, human side, where it's not really about the overall preparation of going at the opera house, but it's really just listen, just, that's for you. Enjoy, So we need also to remember this aspect, that we need to offer this kind of more direct experience. We involved a lot of young artists, and we had a very, very good, attention also from the press, also here in the US. meaning that sometimes, maybe the most simple thing are the most inspiring for everyone. No? Sometimes we spend millions and millions of euros, we do the craziest production of opera, and then, nothing really cares about it. So we cannot also, especially from the Italian perspective, where we use public funds, we are not allowed anymore to waste these funds. And we need to listen to the community. This is so important. For opera houses especially, in our statute it's written that we have to serve the community, not that we have to teach the community that they have to go to the opera because the opera is important. So I think that, definitely the conclusion of my presentation is we need more tools. We need to explain, actually, we need to teach, yes, to the cultural organizations that they need more tools in order to listen, understand the community, and also to explain to the community what they are doing and the results of this work, which is not just about having a great review on the New York Times or selling a lot of tickets for the gala evening, no? But it's really about the social mission of our cultural organization, which I think it's time also to put under discussion and potentially develop them or even redefine, rethink the cultural mission, the social mission of our cultural organization. Thank you. Thank you so much.